Good morning, class.
Good morning.
TGIF.
TGIF.
Yes, it's Friday in Guam, and it's not raining anymore. That's great. We have I don't know if you know this, but we have a little tropical disturbance, a trough that's forming now, hovering off to our east. And so it might affect us, raining on and off for the next few days. Not unlikely during the rainy season, though. So what subregion are we going to do today?
Eastern.
Yes, let's do Eastern Europe. Good. So we always start with CERCA 2015. Again, we're building our mental map according to what's generally accepted in the world right now. So CERCA 2015, what are the main characteristics of why we consider the states of Eastern Europe in a group? Yes, generally, and that touches on the history, right? Generally, there's the religion, and not in every case, there's exceptions, is Eastern Orthodox. Why? Because of the World War II history and occupation by the Soviet Union, right? And Russian people. So the language would be a lot of Slavic, a lot of Russian people, and also we talked a lot already about how Europe was split in two following World War II. So economically speaking, Eastern Europe also shares having a hard time to dig out of the disaster that followed World War II, that their economies, a lot of them were left in a shambles, politically unstable. But there's some of the highest growth potential in the world for these countries too. So let's go ahead and look at the countries that we now, 2015, consider part of Eastern Europe. So let's start with the largest one here, Poland, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, Slovenia, Slovakia. Did I get them all? Okay. If you're satisfied, I'm satisfied. Okay. So let's go ahead and just briefly touch on some major characteristics of the states that are here. Which is the dominant state? Hint, it's the largest.
Ukraine.
Poland. Oh, yeah, the Ukraine is pretty large too. Okay, I'll say economically dominant at this time. Poland, right. So we have Poland, and again, there was a very hard time during World War II, to say the very least, a lot of pain there. A lot of Jewish people, concentration camps, and Poland was quite bombed and quite damaged. But Poland has come back in a very strong way. It's pretty homogeneous. Polish people are one ethnic group in general. Of course, there's other people living in Poland too. Belarus. So Belarus has a history of
Where the
what's the
Russian
acronym?
royalty.
Yes, Russian royalty. After the revolution, the Russian Revolution, many of the aristocracy, or white Russians, fled to Belarus. To this day, it has a lot of Russians living there, and very close affinity with Russia itself, but not a part of Russia. So very close ties with Russia, a lot of empathy with Russia, and economically not so strong, very dependent on Russia. How about the Ukraine? The Ukraine has a very rough war history also. It was occupied by the Soviets. Again, there's two things that the Soviet Union was really looking for and needed. One of them, the Ukraine has, because the major economy of the Ukraine is the very fine farming industry, wheat, just wonderful, beautiful wheat grown there. And the Ukraine was occupied and taken over and punished very severely for rebelling against Russian occupation. There's another history that we haven't gone over yet that we will look at when we look at deep into Russian history. We will note that in fact, this is the origination place of the Slavic people. So the ties between Ukraine and Russia go way, way, way back, but the Ukraine is its own country now, and so there's been these issues. We also know in the news that this Crimea has been occupied of recent, and much conflict over that. It's been occupied by Soviet troops, and in fact, if we look at the ethnicity map, this is mostly Russian. And there's a lot of Russians living in the Ukraine, but the Crimea area here Crimea is very Russian. If we look at Moldova, this is known as the poorest country in Eastern Europe and one of the poorest countries of the world. Very sad. There's a lot of trafficking, sex trafficking, organ trade, very, very severe poverty here. It's composed of a lot of Romanians and some Russians off on the border here. Politically very hard to manage, very corrupt, very mismanaged. Romanians, so the background of Romanians would be Roman, yes, just like it sounds. And there are also some Magyar, Hungarian people in the center of Romania. And Bulgaria, both Bulgaria and Romania are in the EU. They aren't very well managed. They don't have very strong economies, not necessarily that stable, but they do have something that the EU does consider very valuable and Europeans consider very valuable. They have
Ports on the Black Sea.
ports on the Black Sea, nice ports on the Black Sea. Bulgaria has Varna, and these are wonderful ports here and onto the Black Sea, and so they are members of the EU. Slovenia is also in the EU and has a very progressive economy, is doing well right now. Okay, again, Hungary is really interesting. I like to use shapes. Romania, you can remember Romania by its shape as a fry pan, the handle opening out to the Black Sea. And Hungary here, to me, it looks like a chicken. If you can see the beak here, it's a fat hen with a tail there. There's the legs. And right smack in the middle is its primate city, which is a twin primate city called Budapest. Budapest, right? So again, the descent of the Hungarian people is Magyar, and they are Asian, right? All right. Did I cover everything? Okay, that'll do it for now. Thank you.